So I should give an update to what's going on with Cody and the kids from the projects that uh, try to take his bike, or at least try to rough him up, and was wanted to assault him. So I guess I'm gonna give the update now. Um, I'm gonna go, I guess, in reverse, because last night or yesterday evening I went to the pool, and I got there at around 5:30, and the place closes at 7 or 8, something like that. But I was out of there by 7 o'clock. So when I get to the pool, this young kid says to me, he says, "Yo," he says, "My brother is the one that pushed your son." And I was like, "Really?" I was just like, "Your brother did that?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I was told that this kid who did that is a foster child." And he goes, "Oh yeah, he is a foster child." So I said, "How is he your brother then?" He said, "Well, he's not really my brother. He's like my brother." I said, "So you a foster kid too?" And he was like, "No, I'm not a foster kid." I'm like, "Okay." And I was just like, "So maybe you should be careful on who you tell people is your, who you're gonna say is your brother." And he was like, "Yeah, you're right." And I was like, "Okay." And my son, this is as we're walking towards the entrance of the water itself. This kid is telling me this. So my son and I, we swim out towards the area where you can do laps. And I'm like, "Yo, did you hear what that kid just told me?" He said, "Yeah." Oh, but I also told the kid, and I just remembered. So the kid says, "How did you know that he's a foster kid?" And I said, "Because the cops told us." And he was just like, "You called the cops?" And I was just like, "No, we didn't call the cops, but we talked to the police." That's what you're supposed to do when someone like what you claim is your brother puts his hands on somebody for no reason. It's always good to call the cops and let the cops know that there's a problem. I said it's always good to talk to the police, let them know you have a problem. I says, because you see my son, my son is like now coming into the entranceway of the ramp that you walk down into the water. And it says he's been boxing for 5 years. He's a hell of a boxer. So if your brother ever comes near him, he's gonna have a hell of a problem on his hands. And he goes, "Okay." And then my son and I swim off, and my son says, "Yeah, when you were in the shower, the kid approached me and said that he was sorry for what his brother did to you." So I was like, "Oh, really?" He didn't tell me that part. He says, "Yeah." He said that that was his brother that did that, and they're sorry. So we go a day before that, and there was this function that was happening in where we're living at, and well, not where we're living at. We live 4 blocks. We live 3 blocks away from the projects, and the park is all the 3 parks that are in Red Hook are all adjacent to the projects, because it was all basically Red Hook was just a place for ports. It was all ports. And when they built that housing project, they put parks around the project so people, I guess, will have somewhere to go. So these parks, 95% of them are all there's construction going on. So there's like 6 or 7 little parks around these projects. And there are only 3 parks that are actually open where you can utilize. The rest is just all construction. And in the daytime, you see all the guys with the hard hats, and they supposedly revamping that whole thing, gonna make it look amazing. It's probably gonna be breathtaking when they're done. So the troublemaking kids that run around and try to victimize kids, they're at that 10, 11, 12, and 13-year-old range. Then you have the other kids that are older, that's like, 14, 15, 16-year-old range. And then you have the other group. So there's at least 4 different groups. My son is only interacting with his kind of age range group, the 11-year-old group. He's nothing much older than 13. And my son sees the kid. This is not yesterday, the day of the pool. This is the day before that. And the kid approaches my son very aggressive with this, with the diddy bop and with the aggression. And my son just stood there and was like, "What you want to do?" He took my advice. He says, "What? Don't walk up on me. What you want to do?" So the kid said, "Nah, there's too many cops over here. Let's go to the back." And in the back, the assumption is we're going to square off and fight each other. Something that my son is like, roaring to do is the word. He wants to do this. He wants to let his ego control. I'm just trying to make sure my navigation is set. I kind of know where I'm going, but I think I went the wrong way. Yeah, I think I went the wrong way. It's okay. I'll figure it out. It's like a 5-minute difference. No big deal. No, I'm going the right way. So now, while there at this, my wife, she sees my son and the kid. So she starts walking towards the kid, on some old mama bear kind of thing. And the kid sees my wife and he books it. He runs. My wife then sees a police officer. He's in his 50s. He has like a motorcycle beard. Salt and pepper motorcycle man beard. Big, thick, dark beard and mustache. And salt and pepper hair. Looks like he's about 54, 55. He's about 6'5", 6'6", this police officer in uniform. So my wife walks right over to him. And she says, "How you doing?" And he's like, "How can I help you?" And she's like, "Well, there's a little boy who's terrorizing my son, and it's going to be a problem." And he says, "Which little boy?" And she says, "He's riding around in the city bikes." He says, he said, "Does he have on a gray shirt?" And she says, "Yes." He says, "I know the boy. I'll be right back." He walks, makes a turn, goes past 2 or 3 people, sees the kid, connects with the kid, has a verbal conversation with the kid for 5 minutes. Turns around, comes back to my wife and says, "Listen, now my son is there with the officer." And he says to my son and my wife, he says, "Listen." And mind you, while he's saying this, dropping F-bombs and all kind of like, it blew my son away. My son was like, I couldn't believe an officer would speak like this. And what the officer said was, if that boy gets in your face or tries anything with you, beat his effing ass. Kick his ass. And mama, you curse that little boy out when you see him, and you let him know that if he ever messes with your son, you're going to go kick his parents' ass. And he says that the little boy says, and that little boy, he has a lot of problems. He actually has been involved in touching girls. He's been involved in little, little real new stuff in this community. Red Hook that they're trying to, clean up, and they're like, they're power washing Red Hook. It's getting clean. So, what happened is my son is like, whoa, and then he says that the kid is living in a foster parent's house, and the foster parents there's nothing they can really do to help this kid. But he was like, basically, you see this kid, and if he even thinks he gonna, they're like, in other words, don't be afraid of this punk. He's a punk, and kick his ass. Because I think my wife probably said, yeah, my son, he's been boxing for a lot of years. He knows how to defend himself. And, like, I want to stop it before it happens. Because my son is already talking about Cobra Kai, no mercy. He's talking about, how there's like, he wants to ground and pound this kid, total ego stuff. And I'm like, son, violence is not necessary at this moment. If the kid threatens you in any kind of way, if he's just talking from afar, that's like, leave him alone. It's not worth it. But so that's the update in reverse. And I also told my son, I looked at that park that they were in. It's too close. Even though all the parks are up against the projects or within a half a block away from the projects, I told him to go to the one that's a half a block away from the projects on a particular, like, let's say it's north, east, west. I told him to hit the east one, and my daughter hates it because she's like, there's nothing for me to do. There's only 2 basketball courts and a track. I'm like, well, hit the track. So that's the latest. I think my phone is getting too hot from being up on this windshield. Yeah, that's old school policing, right? Old head TV. Rob Lowe, what up, man? What's poppin'? Keep doing black media work. Protect your family. Thank you, Christopher. Old head TV. Yeah, your son and that one on is only right. Peace, Big Elvis. Old head TV. Rob Lowe, salute. I appreciate everyone for checking me out on this small channel on YouTube, I'm just a little guy over here, I'm just a spoke on a wheel. I'm a spoke on a wheel. Let me take the hutch. And what's so interesting is that, my son has this little problem with this guy, but it can also happen with what happens when he's 13, 14. He needs this experience at 11 years old to learn how to deal with these situations when he's 13, 14, especially if we can get this resolved without any real violence, because I don't want my son to just think that you can go through your life punching people out, or just throwing hands all the time. But there's the part of me that wants my son to be able to do more than just have the technical aspects of defending yourself. Sometimes you gotta feel what's it like to get to get socked in the face, in the eye, in the nose, in the ear, where the ear is ringing, and the jaw is kind of sore in the morning, the next day. You know, all these little things. I think that's what makes us men. You know, that's what gets you the respect. That's what gets you the, you know, when a woman wants a man that she can feel protected by. You know, she don't want to bait a man that's never been in any trench. Because, you know, these are project kids. And these project kids, this is a foster kid. You know, he's suffering from abandonment issues. He sees a kid who's articulate and plays better basketball than him, is younger than him, and has a mother and father. You know, there's a sense of hatred that's gonna occur here. So I guess the best thing to do is keep your kids away from people that you can't relate to, but not enough where they're not gonna be able to be in some sort of thick of it. You know, it's difficult to kind of like it's real difficult to it's an emotional line that you don't want to cross certain ways, and you're like as far as mom is concerned, she don't want to fight it at all. Like no, like she never had a fight growing up. You know, she's never like was in a high school fight or junior high school. She was always avoided that kind of situation, but she was also 6'4". So, you know, how many girls are trying to fight the 6'4" girl, even if she's real feminine? You know, like she never was bullied is my point. Okay, now I got a bunch of traffic here. That's not good. What's going on here? Dang. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It is what it is. So, yeah, I worry because, you know, the 14-year-old, here's the thing. We're in a neighborhood where I can have my son and daughter only be around the little French kids and the little South African kids, and because all their parents want to be friends with mom and I. All these little foreigners, because the whole Red Hook is full of nothing but foreigners. It's like, you know, you got a lot of French, got a lot of Australians and French there, and they would love to have a black friend. They'll be all for it. I think they would love to have our kids and their kids, because our kids give their kids the street cred kind of a thing, but yet my kids are not street. Optically, it just looks good, and I can tell they gravitate to that, and keep my children away from the other side of town, which is literally 2 blocks away. My thing is, I would like my child to be able to go in between both of the worlds. I would like my child to be able to, you know, like, he knows which store is going to have the Arizona iced tea. Respectfully, I say that. He's going to know which is the store that's going to have that snack that he likes, and it might be a little deeper. It might be more in the center of town. Like, I don't want my son. Oh, here's another thing. While at one of these parks, one of these 3 parks, the one that's closest to the center of town, is where he was told not to play Pop Smoke music. So one of the young kids that he was playing basketball with says, yo, don't play Pop Smoke around here. They don't like the woo or something like that. And he was like, okay. And he said he didn't even think twice. He just He just changed the channel or whatever it was. So I should be able to want my child to be in a world where he can play certain music, right? Or whatever music he wants. But I also want my child to know that on certain places you don't play certain things. Like you don't just play F the police at a police rally or a parade or something like that. There has to be a time and a place for things, and I think to play the Pop Smoke music in this particular park gives him a little bit more like a reality check. Like these people that were with the whole Sesame Place and the children weren't being they were being snubbed, and they were saying that these black children were being snubbed and it's because they're black that this is what happened. I mean, when the hell would they, why would they have been raised in a world to believe otherwise, is my point. Why did these parents do their children such a disservice to not prepare them for the realities of the world, that there will be people that will snub you, and it doesn't have anything to do with the color of... Sorry about that. What was I saying? Let me see what you guys are saying. Facts, the old school policing. Rob Lowe, enjoying the adventures of Big Elvis the Chef. I appreciate that. Yeah, so it's like I was talking about, I want my kids to be able to go, to have the experiences, you know, like my son is getting the reality check where these parents in these theme parks were like clutching the pearl, shocked and amazed by being snubbed. And I also was saying that it has nothing to do with your skin, the color of your skin. The color of your skin might play a part in one particular snubbing that you might deal with. It might be the car you pull up in. It might be the shoes on your feet. It might be the way you wear your sweater, the way you hold your cigar. I was hated on by a neighborhood kid because of the way I held my cigar. I was hated on. Some kid in the neighborhood went out of his way to like let me know how he felt about me, and it all stemmed from the way I held my cigar. It just irritated him. He just knew I was full of F, or full of S. He just knew it. In his mind, this guy's full of S. Who the hell does he think he is? And that's a story for another day. So I want my kids to be able to go from the French section of, you know, Red Hook to the urban section that are all 2 blocks away from each other. You know, it's like we're not playing that game. Oh, this only on this block. You only can wear this color on this block. You know, that kind of silly stuff, you know? Anyway. You are appreciated. And I will talk to you again. Can you believe this traffic? My navigation now is telling me I'm going to be 35 minutes late. Oh my God. This is crazy. What happens if I go this way? I'm kind of going that way. Thank you. Thank you. You are appreciated, and I love you. Always remember that.